Hey, this is Tommy, and we're back with a new series of bear interviews that I'm going to be calling Calendar Bears. And this first one is Januwooly, and my guest today is Robert Jones, also known as Eudaimonius Mark II. What's that all about?
What's that all about?
Yes.
The name Mark II actually is the addition onto there, meaning like second generation. I had another channel called Eudaimonius, which I guess is probably still out there, but it just doesn't have anything on it. Just wanted to start fresh, put new videos. Eudaimonius comes from the Greek word eudaimonium, which is to live life without regret and to basically live a good life, so to make every day count and things like that. If you notice at the beginning of my cooking videos, the first thing it does is it comes up and it says, the title of the show, and then it says day. For instance, I think the last one was 16,555,
So that's
which
how many
is
days old you are?
exactly.
Wow,
So,
that's very
um,
clever.
thank you. That's what that is, and that's what Eudaimonius is. And the Mark II is just a second generation.
Okay, because I know your Twitter name is just Eudaimonius.
Correct. And that's, I mean, pretty much everywhere else is just Eudaimonius, but of course when Google catalogs everything, you can never use the same thing twice. So you got to come up
Yeah,
with something else. And I didn't want to just have two at the end or something like that. So
and I like the way you spell it out, and then you spell out the Mark II. I.
that's funny because it's kind of become a trademark now. I
Yes. All right. Well, so what prompted the whole cooking show?
Well, it kind of goes back quite a ways. Many moons ago, I was a catering chef. I should probably back up even farther than that. By profession, I am an organizational manager, an organizational specialist. I deal with people and companies and stuff like that. I also have some degrees in psychology. So mixing it all together, and then my passion is for food and working with food. I worked with a catering company, high-end catering company here in Santa Barbara and Solvang for a while. And then eventually what I found, the thing that I really enjoyed was teaching people. And so I had started a cooking class here in my home about, must have been 5 or 7 years ago, something in there. It was called Hearth. It was just getting a group of friends together to come over once a week. Sometimes we'd shop. Sometimes I'd just have it ready to go. Everybody would chip in, and then I would teach people all the different techniques and everything else that I've known and learned from my chefs in the past, and that I wanted to share with them. And then I got laid off back in 2011 from my position that I was with. And I tried a couple different things, just trying to do the entrepreneur route. And then I finally, last year, I decided, why am I not doing what my real passion is, which is cooking and teaching people? And with all of the technology and being an administrator of, computer crap in the past as well, technology is not scary to me. So I thought, why don't I just turn the camera on myself and see if I can find a bigger audience for that? And it's been amazing how many people are actually tuning in. I throw something up and like boom, 50 people immediately. I'd love to make that bigger in the future, but so it's kind of funny. You stumble, you fall, you do lots of different things along the way trying to figure it all out. And I seem to have found a groove now that seems to work for me, and
Okay.
got a lot of good response from that.
So I noticed you've done some just travel blogs and just every life, just living life blogs. I know you did a road trip recently and brought home a bunch of cookbooks.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I guess
Talk about it.
we'll talk about that as an aspect of what you're doing.
Well, kind of in time with what I would like to do in the future is I would love to be able to have a travel show like on Travel Channel or even Cooking Channel or something like that, where the genre has already been developed, but I would love to go and show people what I'm learning. That's kind of one of my things is I love to constantly learn about new stuff. While I was in Europe last month, I would go to the marketplaces and I literally stand in the food stalls and kind of try not to be in their way, but really watch. Okay, how is a Belgian waffle really made? How
Oh,
are these stroop cookies in Belgium like? What is a stroop cookie and why is it doing that? Also the same thing. Whenever I go to England, I want to go to cheddar. I want to see how the cheese is made. I want to do all that kind of stuff, and then I want to bring it back here with me. And of course, as Tommy, you've seen on my Flickr account, I want to bring those recipes back. I want to bring those books back. I want to bring that knowledge back. So that's kind of the future and the past at the same time. And so whenever I'm traveling, I'm really looking out for the new techniques, what's hip, what's hot. Not because I want to be a hipster, but because it's fascinating to me. Not only what is the old thing from this different country, but what's happening now. Why is sushi so popular in London, where it kind of passed us 10 years ago, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Well, I saw that you picked up like that potato and fat or butter recipe that was in London recently or in England. It's in it was in one of your holiday review videos.
Okay. Oh. It was one of the things that I did for Christmas is a dish that I had learned from my sister. One of my sisters, she lives in London, and her husband is British, obviously. And one of the things they do is, they do this baked fried potato where you boil the potatoes, you take the skins off, and then you put them in the fat, and you get them crispy back in the oven. And so anytime there's some kind of new fat laying around, of course I have to try that out.
Okay. What fat were they using?
It was actually goose fat, which you can buy right off the shelf in a jar there. Which
Oh wow!
I wish, I wish you could hear. I'm constantly
I was just
collecting
thinking
my
about it.
bacon drippings.
That seems to be, yeah, a popular item on British cooking shows. I remember seeing several British cooking shows where they talked about, making cooked goose for Christmas and using goose fat. So.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be this huge fear like there is in the United States about using fat for particular things. Especially, when you make a Yorkshire pudding or whatever, you are literally taking like a cupcake cup, putting the fat in there, then you dump in the dough and throw it in the oven and let the magic happen. So, fat is used for a lot of different things, and I think as Americans we've become really sensitive to the fat.
And for really the wrong reasons.
Honestly, I think it has a lot to do with corporate marketing. If you can sell country crock or some other margarine, but really butter and natural fats are so much better for you, and they've been villainized, villainized, whatever the word is, to the point where people are so scared that they have to use artificial fats like canola and stuff like that constantly, which add zero flavor to the product you're making anyway.
Right. Use a neutral oil.
It's like,
Okay.
that tastes
Neutral.
delicious.
All right. I noticed the recipes you were posting from England this most recently, I guess. They had a lot of brand names and really specific English products in them. It's like, how adaptable are some of those things to American staple items?
Well, the recipes that I posted 2 different sets I think you were referring to. And when you go to the grocery store and you're at the meat counter or somewhere in the vegetable area, there's always those little recipe cards that are in the grocery store. We have them here in the United States. I see them all the time. Well, they have them the same time. I posted 2 different sets. One was an English set and the other was a Dutch set that I picked up in Amsterdam at this grocery store. They had them just strategically placed all over the store, and so here I am, like making a deck of cards out of them all. As for the ones from England, we were up in the northern England visiting some family up there, and we went to a Sainsbury's, which is kind of like a Ralph's or Kroger or whatever. It's one of the big chains there. And one of the giveaways that they had was the in-store coupon / book of recipes and stuff like that. And I think it's probably sponsored. Each of those recipes is probably sponsored by a particular company. But of course, my little magpie self, I have to pick those up and bring them home. So, so yes, you can totally switch out the other brands as far as I know, but you might even have to look and see what they are. But
yeah, I know there was like a butter substitute, and I was just going, why would you use a butter substitute in this
exactly.
recipe? You would really want to use real butter.
Probably just because it was sponsored by them.
Yes. So, you said you've got some really old cookbooks there behind you. Now, what are some of the issues with dealing with older recipes?
Wow. Well, the recipes that you see behind me right now are kind of the ones that I'm using to put online. Let's see if I can give you an example. Well, here's a good example. So, this is a cookbook that was actually written into a double entry journal. This was my grandfather's.
Okay.
I'll just use this as a good example. It's falling apart. When the Depression was going on, he was living in Los Angeles at the time, and they didn't have any money to make anything, and so he would read magazines, and he would write the recipes into his book about the things that he thought looked good or were interesting or he'd like to try in the future when they had money. Let's see if I can give you another example in here. Anyway, so just you can see old leather pages were just cut out and then just used. So obviously this is not accessible to other people. It's not accessible to other family members and such.
Right.
And so about 10 years ago, I started scanning them and then photoshopping them, making them nice, and then putting them online for other family members. Well, since then it's grown and it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. Let's see if I can show you another example. So then I started finding. I'm sorry.
Those are all handwritten. So are you transcribing them, or are people having to read the?
This one, since it's a family thing, I'm actually transcribing
Okay.
But things like this. So once I got into that, then I started buying stuff on eBay. Like there's a lot of stuff that comes from estate sales. Somebody made this cookbook themselves. You know, it's upside down here. Somebody, you know, they cut and pasted what they thought was interesting, what they were making for their families. This one is from the 1930s and 1940s. You know, they cut out these pictures and put them in here. And I think this is amazing. It's an amazing piece of Americana. It's an amazing piece of history, and I love that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So this is for date bars.
Okay.
That's the back of a calendar. So let's see what's on the other side of the calendar. On the back of the calendar is the Spellbinder cookies.
Oh.
So anyway, so I found this to be such an amazing historical reference. This kind of thing. That I started scanning them and putting them online for people to do. So you asked, what do you have to do to translate these into modern recipes?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes nothing. Sometimes it's in here. Sometimes, you know, it says a handful. Sometimes it says, you know, a teacupful, things like that. So you kind of have to use your best guess. And if you're really interested in doing it, then, you know, you might have to make the recipe a couple times to get it right. But at least the knowledge is there. Sometimes just the stuff that people, you know, here you go. Here's the sweet and sour pork cubes Chinese buffet that was probably popular in the 1940s after World War II.
Oh, right. That's when Chinese food became really a thing.
You know, sometimes you look at the stuff and it's just disgusting. You know, using canned bean shoots, not my favorite in the whole world.
Right.
You know, especially with what we have in the grocery store now.
Yeah, lots of recipes, you know, can of this, can of this, can of this. I was just like, oh, come on.
But the great thing about it is, as you learn and you read it, you know, the information becomes ingrained in you. And so, when I was doing my show, I had to really concentrate on knowing that my knowledge is not the common knowledge that's out there. You know, not everybody is sitting and reading, you know, Grandma's 1930s cookbook. So I really wanted to make it, and I don't know if you've noticed in some of the episodes, I really wanted to make it accessible for people. And there's times where I'm like, you can do this. Just try it. And it's scary because sometimes I get comments like, wow, I had no idea you could make cinnamon rolls at home.
Yeah. And
okay, I got to mark it.
Yeah. Sometimes dealing with things like yeast, it's intimidating. So
I can definitely see that.
Yeah. It's one of the very first recipes that I did on my show was cinnamon rolls. But I went and found this cinnamon glaze that was in a Mexican cookbook for buñuelos, and I used that to pour over the baked cinnamon roll.
And how was it?
So yeah, that was a little extra decadent.
Like it's cake with frosting. How bad can it be?
Yes. All right. You want to talk about any more of your trip to Europe? I know you posted that really informative guide to Amsterdam.
Again, I'm like a magpie. I just pick up whatever I see. We were sitting at a bar having some glühwein, which is, you know, a sweetened wine for Christmas, and literally on the counter, you know, like you see brochures next to the cash register or whatever. Here was this guide to Amsterdam, you know, the do's and don'ts of what's legal, what's not legal, how to approach a prostitute, how much you should be paying, how much you should not be paying. And of course, you know, That's just the way it is. I've been to Amsterdam several times, so it's kind of entertaining. But my sister that I was with, a different sister, not the London sister, she was quite entertained with all the ideas that are available.
Yeah.
But, before that, we had been to Brussels, which I had never thought, oh, let's go to Brussels. Like, it's never been on my top 10 list. But she had wanted to go there, and the Eurostar, which is the train that goes from London through the Channel and over to both France and to Brussels, it stops there, and that's the ending location.
Oh, okay.
So I thought, I've never been there, let's go there. So we went and found it to be amazing. It's kind of like going to France without the attitude. And I even had one of my fans online that is just lives outside of Brussels. He said, "Oh, the French, they tell how good their food is all the time. We just know ours is." And really found it to be that way. Just a lot less attitude, and just a lot of fun going out to restaurants and
Oh,
marketplaces.
that's awesome.
So,
Well, is there anything else you want to share about your channel? What your plans are?
I'm excited. Come check it out. Subscribe. That kind of thing.
It's been great. I really
I
enjoyed
love
your.
feedback. I want to know what people want to see. So
You kind of. I didn't feel like you explained that you were going to be dropping off for a month or so after you finished all your Thanksgiving stuff, and then you.
And
You're
I've
really out of
got
pocket.
email. Okay, so here's the honest truth about what happened there. The sister that I was telling you about that I was in Brussels with,
Right.
we had an extreme family tragedy in November. So my plan was to get Thanksgiving done, get it all rolled out, have it out a couple weeks before Thanksgiving happened, and then I was going to dive into Christmas. I was going to do Christmas cookies and Christmas puddings and ham and all this other kind of stuff. And my sister's husband became very ill, and he actually passed away at the end of November.
Okay.
So, as you can imagine, I live here in Santa Barbara, the hub of my family, and I have 3 sisters, lots of extended family. I have a house that's pretty big, so it's nice that I can be able to accommodate people when they come to town, because not everybody lives in town. So I had family from England coming in and descending and staying with me. Then I had funerals, and you can imagine all the rest that goes on with it. I apologize to anybody who was expecting more at Christmas time. It just didn't happen. And the plan was that I had planned to make a bunch of videos while I was in Europe to get together with some fans. I apologize to the people that I was going to have that happen with. Excuse me. It didn't happen because I didn't have time to plan it. And then it ended up that it was 2 people from England came here, and then it ended up being 5 of us traveling back and being together for another 3 weeks. So basically, a lot of family happened and not a lot of filming time. So
Okay.
I've had some hate mail thrown at me like, "Where have you been?" And I apologize. I wanted to be there, and dealing with family and death is not something I wanted to be doing. So
Yeah, because when I didn't hear from you, I didn't expect to hear from you. So it's just like since I was blind messaging you, I just expected it went into that hidden place on Facebook that nobody ever goes and checks. So. So that's that kind of.
And then on top of that, I got a cold like the second week I was there, and just wouldn't go away. And literally, I was sleeping like 15 hours a day. My family's like, "Are you alive? Are you up in there?" I'm like, just got a bad cold, had allergies, and I think just the stress of all the previous month of that just hit me all at the same time. So I'm back.
So what's next?
What's next? I don't know if you saw this week, I started a new segment. I haven't fully formed what it's going to be, but in the tradition of everybody going on a diet in January, I thought I would do something called Trim a Bear, which is for myself as well as everybody else. Not feeling healthy by the time I got back, just trying to get back on the health. So for me, I don't want to advocate whatever diets or whatever food plans that people are going to be on. I have been on 1,000 different ones in my life. I'm a big guy. I'm a chunky guy. I deal with it all the time. I know what it takes to be on and off and have a healthy program and have exercise. So, long story short, I am working on getting healthy right now. And I ask that if you would like to join me, go for it. I'm trying to make recipes right now in my own life that are healthy, low-fat, and basically full of all the good stuff that we need. Just trying to cut sugar, basically, is a big thing for me right now. Sugar and carbs, the death of
That's more effective than cutting fat. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And of course, going to the gym. I go to yoga a couple times a week. I encourage everybody just to get out there and get moving, doing whatever you like to do. I know it can be rough, especially if you're in a cold place. Um, it was 73 degrees here today, but after being in Europe, I can totally understand why people don't want to go outside during the day when it's like 31 degrees.
Yeah, I'm sure that was kind of a big shock to you after living in California.
Well, it's kind of nice because I'm one of those people that's constantly warm, and I wore shorts the whole time I was there. And my sisters were like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I am totally fine," because it's 31 outside, and then you go into somebody's house, or you go in the grocery store, and it's like 90 degrees.
Right.
So, long story short, I am working on some healthy plans for myself right now, so trying to share those. And I'm also trying to bring back a bunch of recipes and things that I learned while I was in Europe. I would love to do some Belgian waffles. I'm trying to get a hold of an iron without paying like $400 to get one. So if anybody wants to sell me a waffle iron, even to borrow, just to borrow a camera would be great. So things like that.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. Look forward to seeing some of those. I know your Panettone French toast was not one of those healthy things, so
Well, actually, it wasn't that bad. It has like 2 tablespoons of butter for 6 pieces of French toast, which is not too bad. Eggs, well, depending on your cholesterol. Cholesterol is not an issue for me, but for some people it may be.
The Panettone itself.
I think I got some blowback from the French. It is not French, and I'm like, I know it's not French, but
that's what we call it.
Americans will know it as French toast because it's got egg. Okay. Oh, and by the way, nobody says you have to eat the whole package. You can have one slice.
Right. No, usually have at least 2.
What's that?
Usually have at least 2 slices.
At least 2. I know. It's hard. It's like, oh, let me have one now and one now.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't want to go back. You don't want to have it later.
So let me turn the tables on you. What's new with your show? What are you going to be doing?
Well, we just started a new cycle of Bears Night In, so the next 6 weeks are planned out with our guests Michael and Brian, and we're making this seed cracker with chia seeds and sunflower seeds, and that turned out really well. And we made a minestrone that some people were asking me to do a shirtless cooking episode, so that's the shirtless.
Oh, I've had that too. I just say no. You don't want fur in the food.
Right. Yeah, it's like, and when the person asked me, it's like the next thing I was planning to make was peanut brittle. It's like I am not going to cook shirtless when I'm dealing with
that is
hot candy. So yeah, so that the minestrone was just dumping a bunch of things in the crock pot.
That was the meal, minestrone, peanut brittle, and crackers.
Yeah, well, the peanut brittle was part of my holiday specials, but let's see. The cracker, the minestrone. We did this breaded chicken with a ranch flavoring, and we did. My partner made a pecan pie for dessert, just a traditional, carrot.
Can I tell you a quick pecan pie story?
Okay.
So Christmas time, this is often the problem when you go to England. I love England. I love the people. It's just funny because you try to do some things that are, pecan pie. That's about as American as it gets. So it started out with, yay, we're going to make pecan pie. Pecan pie. Okay, so we go to the grocery store. One of my sisters is gluten-free. So it becomes, okay, we're going to make pecan pie with gluten-free crust. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever. And then it becomes, well, we can't find just pecans. We can only find mixed nuts. So suddenly it becomes, it's gluten-free crust with mixed nut topping. Well, we can't find corn syrup to make the proper consistency. So basically it becomes like nut brittle in a burnt crust. Suddenly it just doesn't work.
Oh, yeah, that's even a thing. I don't even know what else I would tolerate in a pecan pie besides pecans. I mean, walnuts maybe, but
you can have a walnut tort, you can have a cashew tort, you can have all those things, but a pecan pie has a very specific flavor parameters.
Yeah.
You're like, it's got to have the pecan pie flavor and the texture, and it's got to have that soft gooey bit underneath and the nuts on top, and suddenly we were just making something different. And it was just mistitled.
It was just not it. Okay. And I guess I'm going to be doing this monthly bear interview thing that overall I'm calling calendar bears, and every month we'll have a funny name like Januwooly today. So,
Nice. Well, feel free to hit me up again. This has been a lot of fun.
all right, thanks for inspiring that, the Januwooly.
January.
So, so yeah, since I'm gonna trim the beard back this weekend with a haircut.
Oh, come on, it's still wintertime.
Yeah. Well, today's probably the end of the cold spell here in Texas.
Oh, well, there you go. You're back a season again.
Yep, back to shorts. So tell us how people can find you.
You know how you can find me? No. EUDAEMONIUS Mark II II. No. You can find me on Facebook under Robert Jones. You can find me on YouTube under Eudaimonius Mark II. And you can probably search almost anywhere else. Flickr, Twitter, Etsy, Tumblr. They're all there.
Just eudaimonius.
Eudaimonius.
Very good. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today, and
Thanks, Tommy.
we'll see somebody else here next month.
Have a good one.
Bye.